it's all linked together, so it's separate. Okay. 10th of the 9th, 2022. Notice to agent is notice to principal, and notice to principal is notice to agent. Any public servants, limited companies in England, Scotland, or Wales. This is my full factual first-hand evidence of factual knowledge. This is building a picture of fact because I know this is being monitored and may be played back. The threat to my life and physical safety was put in jeopardy again on the 14th of 8th, 2022. How was this done? The physical medical loan offer of a medical powered electric wheelchair since 2010 by what's known now since I studied law. Since I was run over in 2009 and by 2010, and then I had further strokes in 2011 up until shockingly 2010, 11 and 13, and then a major heart attack and stroke in 2017. These are the injuries sustained in the back of my spine and my left side of my body, my head. I didn't know this at the time. It caused something to do with this left side of my brain. I don't know the technical terms. And if I have another stroke or heart attack, I will not recover, I was told in 2017. So the extreme distress and threat to my physical safety almost triggered that on Sunday, on that date in the evening. If it wasn't for pure guardian angels, really, absolutely, 100%, I believe that guardian angels do exist, coming to my aid, that wheelchair would have topped over the curb on the path and into oncoming traffic, into the road, and I would have been hit, and I don't know if I'd be alive today. Yeah, even with my strapped wheelchair on. The fact that the left side back wheel, a bit like a car in a way, is a back wheel of a car came up in the middle of traffic in a road, that could have had serious consequences for its passengers and traffic on the road. I was informed by the agents working for Blatchford, and nothing against the company's agents, understating the facts. I don't want to report this, but because of the seriousness of the situation, what happened, I had no choice in that regard. So, a lady called Beth, she works for one of the offices in England, I won't say which one, but she works as a clinical services management in Excellence, and obviously this is a public safety project service. The HMRA is an agency, medicines and healthcare projects, I think it's called, regularity agency based in London, is a part of the Department of Health and Social Care, which is a limited company in London. They look into the safety of parts of medical. This is a contract and it's funded, if anyone doesn't know, in England. NHS England's a limited company. The head office is in Leeds. And they subcontract out goods and services. So this contract is a primary care, okay? But within my area, UK, is all changed within the Integrated Partnership Board policies, and it's more quite detailed really. But generally speaking, the contract and terms and conditions are generally the same. So for an individual that was offered originally this, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the chair. The the make itself, Mirage, and the company based in Wales, INVARE Limited Company, is also apparently carrying out its own investigation to the motor part, the left side of the wheelchair, which has a certain components, and I'm not expert in mechanics of this, but apparently it should have never been able to come off like so easily. I did not have any warning signs on my gear control of the wheelchair on the right hand side, and there was no noise warning signs as I was on the path, literally, thank goodness, by my area where I live in the flat, and there was a metal fence. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I'd be alive today. I still am, and it's still traumatizing. So because of that, I sought clarification, really, I wasn't a complaint, about how on earth all these years I've been using safely that medical only wheelchair, and every time it needs a service or a repair, the contract changed over from Millbrook Healthcare Group Limited Company based in Southampton, England, to Blatchford Limited, and it's an international company that does very good work, I'm sure, for people that do need mechanical type limbs when they've lost their certain body parts in whatever situation they might have had or is having, I should say. So therefore, the only thing I have an issue with is the administrative, especially in my area. They don't always get things right because it's generated with AI computer systems. But the fact is, I'm going to now read an email. I'm going to leave identification details out. Right, so basically, Batchford Group of its companies, its directors, officers, or employees. Let me hold on. I can't repeat certain things for data protection, GDPR reasons. A Blatchford Group. Okay, so bear with me a minute. Okay, so the email came from North Area Office. It came from, it's outside of their own website, so she must be working from home. So they're copying in my emails because I sent a reminder email what the outcome of her investigation is. Sent for the 9th Wednesday 2022, because unknown to me there was a voicemail. So basically, I've emailed as my concerns of what happened. My call was on the 16th of 8th, 2022. It's 3 weeks, and I thought I may have received a response. They missed about my typesetting the email. And also today to inform the fact of concern, point 2, out the blue, voicemail was left by an agent of one's area, the wheelchair service administrator, unknown, at 9 a.m. in the morning. And they know I could never take any calls at that time, let alone they usually prefer contacts by email. I did say on the 16th of the 8th, 2022, that phone number only was offered a one-off to assist what happened on the emergency situation on the 14th of the 8th, 2022. You have the correct facts and my first-hand knowledge of the serious risk it happened by. The left wheel came off on that date. Point 3, the agent known as Dave had repaired it on that date, which I'm thankful of. He did not say anything about another further repair required. So, 2, I'm informed you. If there is a requirement to offer service by contacting the same email, which I put in and just kept it to the point. I copied this into the local area department. So basically, without prejudice, with regards beneficiary and settler for the estate, which is a birth certificate, trust estate, all rights reserved. Non-consumptive UCC 1308, UCC 1341. Okay. So 11 o'clock on Tuesday. I've just got to check. She's copied back her email into it, so I've got to go back up. She said apologies regarding the email update. She's meant to do it earlier. Basically, she's updated the fact I wasn't aware that the individual that usually repairs a wheelchair, if there's a problem or service, male, their agent, engineer, was on holiday. So why was I left a phone call and they were going to send someone different, which I wouldn't know about anyway. She goes, we have raised an incident with the this is quite important, MHRA in line with the standards policy. We have, as being liaising with Infocare Limited, its agents, as to the next steps in the investigation of the failed part, that we were informed earlier this week that they will be sending us a replacement. So that means another bigger job of a replacement of this wheelchair part. It's just more things I can done without, to be honest. So that we can return the part that originally caused the wheel to fall off. We have been advised to expect the part round on this coming week, 16th September 2022. I would like to also require an extension to the written response to your complaint. I didn't raise a complaint, just raised concerns, but she turned it into that. Until we have a further investigation from Infocare Limited Company, its agents, regarding the outcome of their investigation. However, if you are not agreeable, we can formulate our response to that to a date and prefer an update once and provide an update once the final outcome is known. With regards to the call this week, it would seem that that agent, I know, just put D, ordered another replacement part for your chair. I wasn't aware that he had done that. He checked my left side elevator leg rest and implied that it was fine. He didn't mention that he's going to order a new part. She goes on to imply that fitting of this part is what the administrative team agents had been attempted to contact you to arrange. I already sent them an email to inquire who and what and how and who ordered this part and what it's for. So she just puts, I have just been informed that you are not aware of this. Therefore, I would suggest that we await the individual called D, agent, engineer, return from his leave so that we can fully investigate the reason for the part being ordered and can advise you further on this. If the leg rest does not need replaced, then this can be, it's fine at the moment. That's why this gentleman called D checked it for me. So that's why I questioned what was being ordered and what for. And then she goes on to imply, and then this can be arranged to be done on the same time as that engineer D visits to swap over the parts that needs to be returned to Invacare Limited Company's agents in Wales. I hope this will meet your approval. Yeah, it sounds fine. I'd also now require that the administrative team remove your contact numbers from the telephone P's IT systems. I thought it was automatically going to be stored. And the IT software I use is run by Digital NHS Digital Limited Company based in Leeds. If anyone doesn't know that the software that they also in conjunction use, anything NHS.net is run by that company. So that they're not used for contact and future per requirement. Yeah, I'll put you contact us by email preferably. Service excellence, clinical services, and I won't say which area office she's based for her data protection. Okay, so because this next one is a local area office. Right, 2 days ago, we have now noted on your profile as to your contact detail required by email only. As regards to the wheelchair service, contact you for the apparently it's a replacement leg rest. I didn't know. I am currently looking into this and we'll get back to you as soon as I have spoken to that agent, engineer, male, letter D, I'm just going to say, who raised the work order repair. If I can be of any further assistance, please let us know. And just say the letter B. Okay. And that's an area office where I live. Because that's all I did was sort clarification. So and then that's that part. Because unknown voicemail was left without a message. You know, so a verbal offer, okay, and so that was Wednesday, 7th night, 2022. They're only going to offer me short notice and not inform me. This is how incompetent certain agents are. So let me just go up to. So they're based over a certain location, which they have different offices throughout England. I'm not going to highlight this one specifically. Kindly confirm, since the agent D engineer had repaired the NHS England Limited Company primary care contract medical home wheelchair, left wheelchair since. See the email below. And D, the engineer, had not said anything about a further repair. That was okay. Unable to take a phone call any morning. So why was a voicemail left at 9 a.m. in the morning on the 7th of the 9th, 2022? Prefer contact by email. All right. So because on Monday the 15th of August, which is the day after the accident, what happened to me? Kindly check all emails 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. due to the serious impact of loss of the wheel of my medical home wheelchair, 7:30 in the street by my own. I could have had a serious accident and I'm shocked still. Just say the engineer he fixed that motor part with the wheel on 22nd Friday of July 2022. And this is where the shock comes in. He only just fitted it. So why did it come off just like that? The out-of-hour engineer had to email you, i.e. an individual, with the photos of the work needed today. That was out of hours, an emergency call out. I had to wait. He came out the Sunday, couldn't do it. It was going to come out on the Monday. Still couldn't do it. Didn't have the parts. He had no parts to repair the wheel, and he explained which of inner parts of the motor and of the wheel connection was missing. And this is where it completely shocked me. I couldn't question the work by this engineer called D, because he has been sent round to gaslight me, targeting me constantly for quite a while. I can't say anything specifics, anything more than that, but I keep a log and I keep a diary. So my concern was he sent a faulty part. Was he told to do that? And to fit it, knowing that wheel would come off eventually, like it did. I sent a photo attachment of where it happened. I still got that photo. So I haven't contacted any medical negligence companies yet to seek, to see what my what remedy there may or may not be, because that put my life at risk. So I've kept certain terminology and words out of my emails specifically. So they use, when they're meant to be working in the offices, they're meant to be using the NHS mail. As I said, what company runs that? But for some reason it was not. So very concerning. And that leads me on to another company. On the 15th of August this year, I sent a reminder email. For 2 years this has been blocked. The offer, hi Tanya, how are you? So again, the seriousness of this. Since the 30th of September 2022, the offer of the 4th of the 1st 2021 to the unlawful treatment of my other medical loan equipment service. I'd sent by recorded post emails to Millbrook Healthcare Limited, its head office in England, Southampton. There's two large pieces of equipment and another smaller piece of equipment. It is a delay of 2 years. The reason why they're making this is basically a reminder back in January 28, 22, and don't forget I got set up to get robbed on the 13th of January 2022. So I have emails and evidence, diary entries offline as well, evidence. I had resent these emails and by recorded post to the agents working for Millbrook Healthcare Limited Company, a woman called Julie, Integrated Governance Department and Head Office, who claimed to get back to me. 2 years delay. So it would make it look like I'm incompetent or my private carers are incompetent. So I put this. Their breach of equality makes this lack of disability reasonable adjustments, and they're not they basically cause direct discrimination, disability, both in the goods and services falls part of this, and services public functions in the UK Statute Act 2010 in statute law. Now the section of that is 20 and 29 of that Statute Act. So originally back on the counterclaim offer dates I did offer, quote, 27th attempt 2020 by recorded post delivery, and it was delivered the 28th of October 2020 to the head office as well, with copies of the emails I sent, which I had no response. Since March 2020, UK national COVID-19 national lockdown, I had an email to offer data service for the bed raiser, hoist, medical own equipment, and sling, because I need transferring because I cannot walk. I'd awaited an email, and I had before the end of 2019 and 2018. There's a long history that they know my email, and I even gave them the correct email to use since I got robbed beginning of this year to use to contact me. I have not been contacted by post or email. I'm aware this is primary contract funded, so the lack of investigation into what happened when I had cold call visits when I was bedbound in 2020 by local agents of the Millbrook Healthcare Limited. I require for investigation reference to its OT administration department, and had they have the correct facts on the IT databases, because this cold call visits by men to my home unknown to me took place by their employees in mornings of September, October 2020, 5 times cold call visits when you're aware to offer after 2 p.m. by email communications. I'm only available after 2 p.m. on agreed date, and this is history on the data file that is already held and is factual. I expect a full investigation to the correct database record at once. Email response: I did counterclaim offer, and I shall look at further dates. And I did email the 4th of the 1st, 2021 at 4:20. And references the 3 reference numbers employed by your agent in the local area office. She's aware of the correct facts to this. As to the concern of is the individual is aware of what's been happening in 2020, so not to happen again as offer requirement. Lastly, May 2022, I sent to chase it up to Joe. A response by post, email, evidence letter to the CEO as agent on the 3rd of the 9th, also 2020. See below photo. What caused the delay in the investigation in this duty, which was laid out on Thursday the 3rd of the 9th, 2020. So this was resent on Monday the 15th of the 8th, 2022 without prejudice. It was originally sent on the 28th of the 1st, 2022, redated back in 4th of the 1st, 2020. Resent on the 25th of June, 2021. And not ever have I had a response. I can't show with data protection, GDPR, this evidence. Hello, Tanya. So I've got a printout of those emails too. You can't make this up. Now I'm coming on to housing. The CEO of this company, Mark, and its agents. Going back on the 24th of June this year was sent on my behalf. Subject about a disabled parking permit. When that got stolen, I forgot all about that needs to be replaced. Home Group Limited Company number is 22981, and the other two numbers I've misplaced. The Housing Management Services Man Director, first floor, up in Newcastle upon Tyne. I won't go into details. That is public knowledge. Reference to the 7th of June 2022, I've been offered a replacement parking permit for my location. As to the let's have a look. As to the previous one was stolen, and they already know that. On the 13th of January 2022, as you can recall, I did provide the crime number. I've not realised until the medical service company's agents will repair my wheelchair till the 7th of June 2022, and that was an extreme complex situation to arrange. I tell you that now. The company agent, the National Parking Management Limited Company number is 08237818, head office in Mons area. The agent female, just called a G, offered to contact the Home Group Limited Company agents to require replacement of her email at 10 to 1. Housing Management Employee Agent shall send out, she said, a replacement in 10 days. And imply, because I know that this service charge on top of the rent for this flat, it pays towards that cost. And I was being expected to pay an extra cost for a replacement, even though it got stolen. That's how they don't care. The distress and the alarm that causes to chase this up again on the 20th of the 6th, 2022, 22nd of the 6th, 2022, 23rd of the 6th, 2022. As another medical offer on my wheelchair, the company has a copy of the evidence of the emails for their records, in case the agent faces a parking charge ticket in the car park where I live, when they're delivering a medical services to me. This is how they treat disabled people, especially me in my area. Below is the, oh, by the way, this is evidence of fact. Every town and city in England is set up as a limited company for the police. Northampton Police Limited Company, a photo of the crime number, and a copy of Dun and Bradstreet.co.uk, the company houses, the company number was provided. I don't expect the evidence at Home Group Limited Company's policy will reference evidence or copies of emails to National Parking Management Limited Company's agent from i.e. myself to them. The grant will imply to require to pay for the replacement of the parking permit. Lastly, the block 7 to 12 door, the rear back door, by the way. Since May 2022, okay, and how I worded it was this: it's caused a safety risk to all individuals living in this location, the block. The rear car park main light, by the way, they started messing about with the gas lighting with their car park light into my flat. And I didn't mention it like that. I said, the rear car park main light by block 1 to 6 is broken. It's not working since 5 weeks to date. No light at all. To see safely in the car park at night, confirm. I've already reported this timeline to the repair. With regard to that prejudice, I included photograph evidence of that the emails to the parking management company as evidence. I included evidence that Northampton Police is a limited company. Okay. So So just bear with me. And when I tried, and this is how they do the hacking on my computer, contact us, which I found now is absolutely a the Hangout Limited email is. I'll have to get into my contacts in a minute. I think I can't screen share. Yeah, I can't export. Right. Okay. So that's that one. Just thought there might be. I'm looking for email contacts. Don't want downloads. So the Saga, the head office is based in Stoke of the Wheelchair Company in England, and it started this Saga of the Wheelchair on the 16th of March 2022. And my email, it's been a repetitive saga since they took over the contract. So I just found that email. Just trying to look. Yeah, so now we'll go back now to how it's linked to housing. Quite a shock, isn't it? Well, it's not really when you know how this is. So 2018, the financial side, when my late mum passed away in July. And then it was before I knew about the targeting subject, and I learned very quickly, I'll tell you that now. I'm just going through to find an email. And the fact that I was financially left all along this housing company has only been after, oh, well, they originally rejected years ago. Okay. They rejected the 2011, the 2012 occupational therapy report that stated needed minor small size cut into the door frame work, the wood, a small size. So my wheelchair and large medical equipment wouldn't catch, because these public funded carers at that time kept banging into the doors and the walls. I later found out that was deliberate, but I didn't know about gaslighting and targeting at the time. So that got rejected by this National Housing Company local agents. They planned for me to move out. They wanted me to move out all along since I moved in. So that's where the history comes in, where as soon as I moved in, when I was able-bodied. So 18th of September is coming up, the anniversary date this year, will be 13 years of secure tenure renting this flat. Had I known a certain perpetrator called Stuart, who lives right opposite me, and I've known him since the early 2001, 2002, when he was trying to suck up to owners of pubs in the town, when I used to work part-time. And one of the pubs was right opposite me. I didn't work there, but I saw him there on the anniversary, well, on the actual day, or when I was attacked by a serial killer that evening, on the 13th of December 2002. And I saw his face there. And he openly admitted he was a lorry driver. But I didn't say what happened to me, because my son and I was there having a drink from the shock of it all. What happened. So there's the history of knowing the very gaslighter, the main individual in this area from that period of time, before I even knew about him really living in this area. And how my old house was smashed up and I was forced to move. And at the time, I didn't know no different. And the police said to me, for your safety, those 3 men that had a gun or a knife in their pocket and broke into your house, and had to bury myself and barricade in my old bedroom and escorted out for my safety. And my family at the time, sister, didn't want to know, nor my older brother. And it wasn't for my own son at the time. He funded a week's, and I helped fund the temporary hotel while I stayed. And then eventually the housing company had a duty to find me a temporary accommodation. I ended up in a place where people that are really down on their luck, 1 room, I just had a knee op that didn't work. So the old house, I had this smaller medical aid to aid me, but my operation I didn't know what the weakness in the left side of the knee would happen anyway. I ended up in this place, which is 1 bed, shared accommodation, with people that are very rough around the edges, shall we say politely, best I can. They were dealing, and there were sorts of ex-people from the police, you know, from the prisons and stuff, and a lot of people really down the luck. So I didn't know at the time, all these years on, I do now know, that I was deliberately placed in that environment. Years at that time, my sister, religious sister, claimed that they all thought I was going to rejoin their religion, you see. That's the only reason they helped. And please don't take this wrong, but my late mum did her best. She kept an eye on my cats at my old house. She checked on the security of the place for me. And I really do appreciate my late mum's effort to do that. I had no time to pack. I had no time to sort out my 3-bedroom house, my storage in my large storage room down at the bottom of the ground of the house at all. I had half a day to move. So, all due respect, I appreciate my older half brother, my sister, my late mum, sister in law, and their church friends to help me try and move. There was a hell of a lot left behind. And don't forget, I was under, they call it police protection because of the risk they couldn't find the assailants, what they did to me and the house. So I was still traumatized by all that. So the doctors at the time put me on medications for the trauma, serious trauma. And it got escalated when I was at temp accommodation. So when I was referred, I thought it was talking therapy for the effects of the crime or what happened. It wasn't. I know that now. But it was all to lead to where we are now. Had I known, I wouldn't have even entertained any of them. Sadly, as I made it clear, I wasn't interested to rejoin my family's religious beliefs and faith, church, whatever you call it. This wasn't my bag. I appreciate the kindness and assistance. They soon disappeared out of my life, didn't they? As soon as I said that. There's no animosity on my part. They decided not to have anything to do with me. Very nice family, isn't it? So, yeah, so really, I was left to bid for a new place. I thought I was meant to get assistance to bid for a new place where to live. I was informed assisted sheltered housing, like a bungalow, and all the places I kept finding and tried to bid for will get taken. I got the highest points needed. But I had to look at mobility point of view, the first time ever in my life. Access point of view. And everything I looked for and bidded for, I just was everyone else got there before me. So the only place left I could find, and I saw advertised, was this where I am now, 13 years on. And it was centralised, and it wasn't in the postcode area it was before. It was the opposite side of town, and it's still reasonably in town. To access the mobility things I needed for my disabilities. So yeah, I moved in, and I would have thought this is a new start. Had the two cats with me, and it wasn't not going to ever be like that, was it? It was pre-set up, which I now know that, but I didn't know at the time. And there's an individual who used to live at flat 7. I know who he's now connected to, of course. He was paid to lie about me and about my 2 harmless cats. And they were clean, and the flat was fine. And yeah, I had limited mobility, but I was still able to walk and still self-care. So the contract was signed, as I said, 18th of the 9th, 2009. And yeah, throughout that summer, I was settling in. And then it wasn't until the 3rd of the 11th, 2009, out the blue, a car come round the road up the top by the old hairdressers used to be there, up the top of the road, and jumped the curb I was standing on. I had one crutch because of my left knee I was weak in my left knee to balance. And he jumped the curb and he went over my left foot. I lost balance and I fell off the curb into the road on backwards with my head hitting the road and my spine. And all I can remember is, again, I swear to goodness, this was a female, a guardian angel, come to my side and said, don't worry, we were all here witnessing. And she was saying how many witnesses there were. There was about 9 witnesses, and she said they were all calling the police, the ambulance. We all saw what happened. I have to this day the ambulance reports shows how many calls were made to the emergency services in my area at that period of time at 5:30 in the afternoon. Not one public servant in the police car, none of them turned up to those 999 calls. The only people that turned up was a company known as East Midlands Ambulance Service, NHS Foundation Trust, its agents. And don't get me wrong, I don't remember anything getting into the ambulance. I only remember waking up in the hospital um, with all these drugs in my body, morphine and all pain relief, and my mother and her 2 church friends at my bedside. That's all I remember. And because I was unconscious. And then all I know next, I don't know how long it was, but this public servant, please come to my bedside in the hospital in front of my mum and 2 church friends and said I was to blame for the accident straight away. What? How? Well, I was no fit state to investigate that until eventually I was able well enough. They did x-rays. I didn't have a bone broken, but they missed the head injuries. They missed the spine injuries in that hospital. The whole left foot was completely the wheel. I've got the photographs, by the way, still. The wheel imprint marks or on my left foot but I didn't know that it damaged inside the brain. Something happened. I didn't know how badly until I ended up getting referred to a specialist hospital in London for investigations, spinal investigations, and head injury investigations. And it wasn't really that conclusive until I had the first major stroke in 2010. And the local hospital did an epidural on the spine and saw illusions into the left side of the brain. So they just said that as a minor TA, minor stroke, and I should recover. I didn't. 2011, I had another major stroke. So I got referred to specialists in London who found the upper part of the neck has been damaged, certain parts of the spine, the right shoulder's been damaged, the left side of part of the brain is more damaged than they said. MMR scans were done. So I permanently got an injury. I'm permanently injured by the spinal injuries at the back and the limited mobility on my left side. So, and the right side, my shoulder. So, yeah, I'm on a lot of medications for this. How do you forgive people that do that? Not just to me, but others. So that began my journey of being physically disabled, and I never was before. I lost my full mobility, I lost my independence, and that began interactions with the offers of public services that I didn't need before. That lost all my ability to be able to set up a business that my ambitions were. That led to the unlawful treatments I started experiencing. Financially, practically, in all areas you can imagine for disabled people in England. I thought it was just coincidence that they were nasty people, but I soon looked back on it all and realised it wasn't. It was more than that. So therefore, I thank my late mum, her kindness and patience. She was the only one that taught me how to adjust from physical ability to disabilities, limited mobility. She was the only one that gave me courage to keep going. And it's because of her upbringing, her spiritual beliefs in her own way. And my own son and daughter, well, my son was flying around the world somewhere, so he wasn't in contact. Now I look back on it all. My daughter was too busy, and I mean, they meant well, but they felt they couldn't cope with the adjustments of their mum being physically disabled in a wheelchair. I had all these assessments, as I said, 2010, 11, 12, 13. And it was like, oh my goodness me, it's all too much. So I didn't know about law. I didn't know about my lawful rights. I didn't know this, that, and the other. But I began learning from 2012 from the late John Harris. But I've learned a lot more from other good people out there who know before I knew about gaslighting targeted program. So I know about tort law now, trust law, maritime law, common law, contract law, difference between statute and contract law and common law. Definitions and meaning of words, which I never was very good at English at school and not very good at mathematical, but I was a quick learner. So then I began streaming. Used to have a couple of channels. of talking to people on the old Google Plus platforms, with people in different countries, and very knowledgeable, very informative in natural health and care. That was a healing process for me, and I really appreciate those people, and they've got a spirit. Their spirit is so beautiful. So, of course, through their contacts and what we all learnt together, before I started noticing I was getting hacking into my internet connection all the time. Before I started noticing that I was getting physically harmed by these public funded carers in my own home. That's before I noticed that strange movement of items in my private home was going missing and then replaced. I just thought it was odd. But then I had really good contacts and friends at the time still, and they were trained in private health social care as well. So when they started noticing I was getting really seriously harmed, and I reported everything to the relevant parties and agents, and nobody got held accountable, and there was burns on my body, marks on my body, and I got photograph evidence on my old phone. One that got stolen, and one of them was stolen in my bag, this year. Burns to the back of my body. You see, when I reported it, they set up a situation where a care company went bust, and I had no choice but to be displaced out of my private dwelling into three actually, different care placements. But I know now they were companies and how that was done, but I didn't know it at the time. The last place, I was hoisted into a bath of boiling hot water and my whole back was burned. My old phone had those photographs of evidence on, and that's one of the phones that was stolen. So I had no trust in that company. I found out the company who ran that place were the very company that hired these carers, that employed them, that were coming into me in my home. By the fact of that, I lost trust in all of them. So by knowing what I know now, by 2014, I had to cease and desist any of them coming anywhere back near me in my home for my life and safety and protection. Private arrangement was made between my private life friends who gave up a couple of their jobs, and eventually, out of the offer of personal disability income, out of that, I pay the rate per hour. It's a bit over the normal rate for the rich high amount of personal detailing daily care needs I have since that day. But the local public servants didn't like that, did they? They hated that. So they began a campaign, and I have emails, letters, evidence, documents of how they began to slander me, to lie, to cheat in documents and emails, to lie that I wasn't engaging, taking their offers up. But I began finding out that they're a limited company, and all these companies are interlinked together, and their agents are linked together, and they're linked into Freemasonry. Wow. So by the knowing that, leading up to 2015-16, out the blue, another car tried to hit me in the wheelchair. Why? Round the corner where I live. On that Sunday afternoon, there's a lady with her baby in a pram next to me. This car come pile of cars down the road. One didn't signal and wasn't in the right lane to turn right. Instead, he sharply, oh, by the way, the white car is important here. The white car, the individual in this car, sharply turned, and if that lady had gone before me with a baby, she would have been killed, and the baby with her. Instead, the car hit me on the right side. The wheelchair took the massive impact, and my right side was injured, and the broken of the right side, the wheelchair at the time. The wheelchair was replaced eventually. The whiplash injuries I sustained, I never recovered on the right side properly ever since. I did try to see, but I found out who the man was. My old phone that's broken, I can't get in to get the photographs now. He was shouting and screaming in the street, blaming me for the incident. But get this, I know now why this happened, but I didn't realise at the time. And there was a police car, I think it was two, by the university nearby, halls of residence, I think they call it. And these two police guys came out. And one specifically in my old phone was the audio evidence, what was said to me. And I'm in shock, by the way. Absolutely, again, trauma. And he said to me, "You're the first individual we've come to that in an accident, a collision with a car that's in a wheelchair." Not an offer to call an ambulance. Am I okay? I said, "No, I need an ambulance." There was a kind lady behind me. There's a few witnesses, and she clearly said to me, turns out she's a public servant herself, and she was, again, I swear to goodness, the guardian angel, and she said to me, she's the one that assisted me more than anyone and calmed me down and helped me, right? And she witnessed it and she told the police. And the lady next to me, she said, "Thank God." She was in shock. So I found out. She basically said I saved her life, which I couldn't take all in at the time because of the shock I'm in. Or I could remember the police said, "Oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay," and they refused to get me an ambulance. I don't know how I got home, but I did, and I managed to get my carer friends over quickly, and I spent weeks in bed after. Yeah, a lot of soft tissue injuries, a lot of aggravated my injuries already I've got. So there's not much anything could be done but bed rest and a lot more care. Because of that, that was very hard on them, and I appreciate that. So we're leading up to March 2017. And I don't know whether it's those injuries or whether what caused the infection in my teeth. But suddenly I had this real bad infection in my throat and my gums and my teeth, and I lost my speech. I was very poorly. My neighbour at the time, he used to do my meditation CDs, who now is a perpetrator. I didn't know that at the time, but there you go. And he saw me struggling. My carers had left, but I felt really, really weak that day. And he offered to take the phone, the old analog phone, off my hand to call the doctors for me. Instead of calling a dentist or referring me to a dentist or get a home visit of that nature, because it's a dental issue, he called an ambulance out. Okay. It wasn't that kind of situation. But because I thought texting, trying to get a hold of my friends, my carers to come back quickly, if they could, carers, and contact my family members because of the serious situation of that implied. And no, suddenly my phone stopped working. I couldn't get through to anyone on the text. I couldn't speak. So there was two females and one male. One male standing in the lounge, and I know he was gaslighting me all the time. The older female was in my kitchen, nosing around without consent and opening my bloody personal things in my kitchen without consent. That's got nothing to do with medical reason why they were there. Not in their job description, and no reason for that. And the other younger female also, they made assumptions about my private life, condition on my flat, when I didn't even have a disrepair at that time in March 2017. I now know they were sent round to gaslight me and set me up in a false presumption about my private life and my health care because they did not like the fact I got a private care arrangement. So I soon found out also NHS England Limited Company contracts primary care, i.e. medical practices, doctors, right? General Medical Council's Limited Company. In England, you can investigate that if you want to for clarification. And if anyone's making any comments in another channel I've got streaming, I'm not able to respond right now. So therefore, they made up assumptions about me and did an adult safeguarding referral. The comments made in that document was so disgusting and demonic and non-factual and made up. You cannot make it up. It really was started all this off again. The mental health card really did. So good job I knew about law. I did a cease and desist. I did every document to the CEOs of these public funded companies and with a fee schedule, cease and desist process and all data for rebuttal of presumption being made about my private life, health and care. I eventually had a copy of the medical diagnosis of the dentist, and it was a major dental sepsis. They misdiagnosed me. Those ambulance public servants, key ones, specific. And that medical general, i.e., doctor, had lied of my healthcare medical condition, which I did not give consent to talk to them on the phone because I couldn't talk. And one young blonde female implied she'd need to contact my GP concerned about me. And that's a very, very time when my phones were being jammed and I couldn't get through to my own private carers to come over to witness all this to help me. So yeah, and I know that was set up. Why on earth do you want to set up? I survived being threatened to be killed off, thank you, in 2009 as well, 2016. So you had to do it another way. You demonic, very demonic, satanic entities, shall we say. And so throughout that time, it led on to the presumptions, and this is where housing comes in. So in May and June 2017, there was assumption about my private. The only ever thing from 2002, unfortunately, with the survivor is the trauma on the mind, the effects of attempted murder. But I live with that every day. And I live with that in a manageable way and no threat to anyone, let alone myself. Okay, no risk to anyone, let alone myself. And no one, in their system, shall we say, in England. So, my son, and then before they got a problem, my daughter-in-law, they both came up with my new granddaughter to visit me. They saw the condition on my flat was fine. If it wasn't clean and healthy, they wouldn't allow the newborn baby in my flat, now would they, as parents? So they did a statement. They supported me at a meeting. And as I said, I was learning law. I was criticised how I signed my documents, B.C. Conditional acceptance offer under duress by force and cohesion. So I didn't quite go into specifics, but I said it's a private arrangement and there's not an awful, not personal care. And what was implied about my private life and home was fabricated. Um, so they couldn't do anything further, but they never stopped with that. With all those letters to the CEO seeking full disclosure of what was assumed about my private life. And as I had that dentist report of the dental ill health and the diagnosis, that stopped them, didn't it, in the tracks, and they didn't like it. So, which I didn't know, on the 10th of the 7th, 2017, I didn't know what home invasions were. I didn't know about any of these subjects at the time. And, well, it was a shock that my private friends found a long slit of the floor covering in my bathroom. So generally, I thought it was a repair that's needed to be done, so I reported it as a repair. Big mistake, wasn't it? Because I assumed that all these innocent things were happening. I didn't know about the targeted subject, gaslighting, NK ultra trauma-based mind control. I had no clue of all this. But I started learning bloody quick throughout 2018 to date. Sadly, it's worldwide and it's been going on for a long time. So, the fact all this years to constantly single many people like me out, to do all these things repeatedly, to constant re-traumatization is all part of the plan, apparently. I didn't know about all this, but I do now. It's the main point. Can't change what's happened, can only deal with things right here and now. Can't predict the future. I'd love to know the future, but I can only deal here and now. The important things about forgiveness, which is very hard to do, and I've been learning on that very, very it is about forgiveness, and it's very hard to do. I can't forgive my perpetrators and those that's caused me the harm. In the way they've done it. It is the agents, the companies responsible, CEOs, board of directors. But I would never see a penny out of them, because when you dig into the Illuminati, the Freemasonry, the occult, and the satanic side of it all, they very much support each other. Close ranks. And they have these emails, reports. 2019, well, I didn't know by the end of basically another major heart attack and stroke just coming up. I can't remember the specific date now because it's too traumatizing to remember. The police had to smash my door in at that period of time, September 2017. 1 minute I'm talking like this, next minute I'm talking live. On Facebook, got my old laptop that got damaged, and to my daughter-in-law at the time, and suddenly I had a heart attack and stroke, and I couldn't move, couldn't talk, could only hardly breathe. She had to call from 200 miles away where she lived, the emergency services to come to me. Ambulance and police came. I did not know this. And because I could not respond, even reach out to ring 999 on my own phone. As I said, I couldn't even move any of my body parts. I couldn't move any of my good side of my hand. I couldn't move nothing. I know now what that was. The using direct energy technology on my body to trigger a heart attack. I didn't know all this then, but I do now. So, yeah, the door got smashed in. I don't remember much. I just remember being lifted up into a stretcher. They had difficulty getting me out the flat. I remember having stuff sprayed in my mouth. I remember all these wires on me. I remember they're doing the heart monitor thing and trying to resuscitate thing. I really don't remember hardly any of this. All I've got is a statement from my daughter-in-law what she witnessed, and I couldn't believe what I read because it's live streaming on Facebook. I mean, it was live streaming all the time I was in hospital, and I had no clue until I got home. While I was in hospital, there's a voicemail left on my old phone of the housing company moaning and groaning that wasn't here when somebody tried to come along and do an assessment on that bathroom repair. Really? I didn't know about it. And the very people from that housing department, they're still employed. Like, you can't make it out how nasty it was. I still got the emails. It's just really disgusting. Unlawful. The non-emergency ambulance people, 2 females that got me home, they're the first people that entered my flat when I got home from hospital, and they saw that my flat had been ransacked. They saw the 2 bolts that always left in my top of the door on the bottom down part of the locked door was placed deliberately at a certain angle, pointing to the bathroom floor door. By the time they set me in bed, and my carers were on the way to me, my carers had found the tear-off slip of paper in the bin thrown away by the ambulance crew. It showed the heart monitor thing they did on my chest, and it showed it all over. My heart was going all over like lightning hit the chest or something. And one of them is specialist in medical area. I wouldn't say in what area. And she was able to read it, and I've still got the evidence. I don't know what I was shocked with, why they directed my heart. Were they expect me not to survive? But I did. And I still am. So with their caring and the help, it was getting difficult, really, really difficult since then. So I approached the local public servants, tried to rebuild up trust again. Very difficult. And wow. So yeah, so basically I'd thought that the public servants agents may look at my healthcare housing combined throughout the offer from starting beginning of 2018, first meeting June 2018. Throughout that year, I was lied to. I was never referred to the long-term disability team. It was a mental health team without foundation. I found who actually ran that department and the company involved. It was the same company where I was displaced to, who ran those placement, the last placement, and where I got physically injured. It was a major setup job. I've got the emails, evidence, what was said, who said what, still to date. The very individual called Susan, she libelled and slandered me, and there's report evidence dated 17th of April 2019. And what she said about me on the 10th of March that year. She said, I don't need a hoist. She said, I don't need my wheelchair. She said, I don't need this medical equipment. She said, I need hoisting 4 times a day. It's all lies and fabrication. So I reported her. I counterclaimed, rebutted everything that she made presumptions about my private life and health and care and housing. I also alerted the National Housing Company's agents that the fact that I had been failed and left on a waiting list for a placement of a public servant of a social worker to carry out a finished assessment of what may or may not be offered. By the October 2018, I found that they were never ever going to do that. Instead, all they wanted was an occupation therapy assessment report. The evidence of that was all along to actually imply that this flat is no longer suitable and I need to be moved out completely. That was a fine, always been. Ever since I moved there, they've always wanted me out. And that's why everything, what I've gone through in this flat is because of that. And who? Oh, Stuart of Flat 2. The very demonic man, and is more so now, who is connected to the Freemasons and key people I've known for years. How they got to their public servant role and how they're connected. And that goes back a long time ago, but I won't cover that subject here ever, nor online, because I know what they've done and how they've done things. And I can't say how I know for my protection. Key public servants in their position now to date are very well connected, and I cannot state how I know. I just put it this way, it's nothing new because worldwide it goes on. Satanic ritual, child abuse. So therefore I've been on a target list, and because what I uncovered years ago, and I've never ever mentioned anything online, posted anything anywhere. I just kept a journal of what I know. That's all. And I've got a sharp memory. I only tried to get someone help. And instead of getting help, it made their life worse. And I didn't know that. And I live with that. But those that's done what they've done, they're going to have to live with that. So, which I found out others worldwide, when they've whistleblowed, they've ended up in a really horrible situation. And I've just kept quiet, and then I've just been put on this list. Military of Defence is a limited company in England. Why no for the military operation? Yeah, and dark projects and funding. And then this is international targeted justice. I don't know if it's .com or .net. It showed me of the English side. The list going down to Metropolitan Police and key individuals, and one individual I know from 2003. He was only part of the murder. There was a murder investigation department and another division with it at the time I was implied. I was a key witness into the murder case. And that's how I got put on the list. But apparently it can go hereditary from your mother or father, and it can go through your childhood, and it can also your adulthood, but specifically was from that period. So I didn't know none of this, of course, and then I started unraveling the rabbit holes from 2018 and to date. So that's why I'm making this stream. If it happens to me ever, you ain't gonna know. You're not going to know, because I'm monitoring all communications more than ever. And I know my Creator, Jesus Christ, Saviour, He knows the wickedness of these entities out there and what they're doing on this planet. And there are spiritual awakening going on, which is really great. So when it happens to me naturally, when it's naturally my time to go, then I'll be back to my creator. But let it be known from here onwards, I will never ever do anything to anyone in common law to harm, injure, or anything like that within common law, or libel and slander, anything, or breach any or anything like that. Okay, in contract law as well, and or to myself or any, it's always the demonic and wickedness and attacks and gaslighting and setups, you name it, is going on, and it's getting out of control. The brain interface technology is that advancement in technology. One needs to research for their own. Don't believe anything I say, by the way. Disclaimer. Just go and do your own due diligence. Educateyourself.org is just one website where you can just have a look around and look and research if you want to for oneself. Soon you will not need your phone. You will not need a computer, i.e. like a laptop physically, because advancement technology is really to do with the brain interface, the transhumanism, the future. The future is that. So, goodness me. In a week's time, my birthday, and how that falls on, the date it falls on, the full moon, alignment, period astrology version, how that falls on that particular date. I was born particular date all those years ago for the way it happened and how it happened for a reason. And now I know why. And why these things are happening and why I'm silly. And I think eventually when you go through so much trauma, trials and tribulations in life, you come out. You don't think you're going to come out of it all, and you don't think you're going to keep going. But somehow you find a way. And today they have been triggering me really badly. Yet, on the day of England having a new king, as they say, God bless the Queen, or whatever they say, God, whatever they say, because I've never been alive to know a king, only a queen. So yeah, the next 2 weeks, 2 weeks, leading up to all things are. So much is going on, generally speaking, in the world and in England as well. So all I'm saying today, if I don't have another opportunity to do a live stream or get my truth or facts or first-hand knowledge out in this manner without breaching any lawful due process, then you're never going to know the truth. Not just about me, but others like I. We're all free. Our souls are free. The birth certificate, if you learn that truth and who holds the equity title in the birth certificate subject, the power is within the people's hands, each one of you. The people on this planet who are not compromised, who are not lied to participate in the gang stalking, who are not lied to, manipulated and blackmailed to falsify documents and reports about individuals and to set them up. The others that are spiritually awakened and a tribe are down. And I think those biblical knowledgeable will know what that means. Well, we're the spiritual warriors for these times we're living in. So for now, it is time I got to go. I will just play some spiritual uplifting positivity in the background because it's still going to be a roller coaster. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. Now, on the last point of this subject, the housing management company policy in the recent events at the end of 2021, by the way. There's years of constant offers of gas boiler safety checks or anything like that. They always offer an appointment where it's not suitable and neuromonitoring subject. What they tend to do is to constantly respond to emails or counterclaim offers where assumptions are being made, despite they know that I can only be an afternoon appointment and 7 days or 2 weeks notice. And instead, I've been offered a 3 days notice. And that was predated 3rd of the 9th, 2022. And that only came today. Yet, I reported the repair also of my kitchen or plumbing repair of a lever tap, and now there's 2 of the other sink area. And yet on Wednesday, the 10th, 11th, 2021, nobody ever got back to me. So 10th, 11th, 2021, Thursday, 11th, 11th, 2021, 19th, 11th, 2021 was the last date. This got resent by recorded post and emails to the National Housing Company, and I've not had one response to offer that repair. Instead, I get threats, the words, definitions. You'll breach a contract if you don't know entry to our agents of Mears Group PLC owns Home Group Limited. They are subcontracted out to MPS Housing Limited. I have videos, I have photo evidence of their agents abusing that disabled bay and doing other stuff. And in my home, I can't put it into any other words, but it's a breach of all due process. So, I'd also co-copied in when I got robbed beginning of the year that I require replacement of my flat door, i.e. repair properly. Well, the libel and slander, I've got evidence of an email back in February this year of the local agents and the housing company as well behind this, and the keywords they used. And basically, they have not offered any response to that to date. They even have the update email from since February 2022 to contact one, and they know where I live, and they could have sent a letter to offer a repair to the door and the kitchen taps. They have not. So one is not in breach of contract, they are. And in UK statute law, Equality Act 2010 clearly states what the lawful disability reasonable adjustments means, but they don't adhere to it. This was sent no assured value, no liability areas or emissions accepted, all rights reserved, non-wavered, non-consumped without prejudice. As agent representative. So therefore, the offer for this coming week, I'm unable also to accept. If anyone doesn't realise in England what this gas safety installation and use 2010 statute law, health and safety, also their executive, the policy reference to clause part 6, and that is 36A within that statute act, where it's nationally for all housing companies, whether it's private companies or public funded companies, it's agents, where they use, quote, the determination of date for the next safety check within a 2-month period of the due date next June. The last date of 11/11/2021 was carried out. I've got the report in front of me. It is not due yet. So this time round, after 2008, well, long time ago, they started 2018 up to date, the gaslighting, turning up cold calling, turn up mornings despite being offered the afternoon appointments by email and recorded post. And the last email by the agent working for the PA, she's a PA for the CEO, was the 1st November 2011. She confirmed that date because it's repetitive with the no monitoring, constantly having to respond to their negligence. So, yeah, so then again, this time round, one can print out, hopefully, that section of that Statute Act and quote it and copy it, like a photocopy with an email, if they don't block me emails again. Just take that. Unfortunately, I'm not able to take your offer this forthcoming week. There will be offered a couple of other dates in October, and that's within the timeline. And it quotes that, and I will quote the definition of with the photocopy where it states that. So the times we're living in, it's important for health and safety to get it done. But be aware when you target individual to keep a note of what's gone on, what's said. And because of my situation I'm in and the lack of repairs to my home, they're using that to blame me and using other national company, public funded, its agents and local connections within Freemasonry to libel and slander me, to use to try and get me out of this home and into a very controlled environment without consent. Unfortunately, I have done the affidavits, a 7-page, clearly typed rebuttals point to point. It stands as evidence in law, statute law, common law, tort law, maritime law. And when they ignore that, okay, it clearly states who is running this demonic world within the Illuminati ranks, into the Masonic lodges, into the memberships, and how these public funded companies have been infiltrated. I'm not saying everyone is like that. Key selected few in their positions, and if they want to keep their job, they will have to go along with what they're told to do. And if a key ranking 33 or higher degree level Mason pulls a favour, then that has to be repaid by them doing a favour for somebody else. This is how the world unfortunately works. They are shadow banning me, as I knew they would be doing that. So bear with us. So yeah, so all I can do is that, and to the terms and conditions of the contract since 18th of the 9th 2009, point of that, they tried this on several times, implying on breach of contract, and my response will be provide the first-hand knowledge of the presumptions yet again, because I have of the fact that I have evidence in black and white reported what I have, but yet they can replace the main back door, communal back door, where there's no evidence of any homeless individuals getting into the block. That has been set up by certain individuals in this area. and that door was unsafe from the outer side to pull open. But we will keep going the best one can, and worse things have happened, I know. So if I could live completely off the grid, away from all this, I would be doing it tomorrow, straight away. If I had connections in off grid with those with similar position to myself, I would be contacting them already before now. Do I like living here? No. Do I require a choice? Yes. And look at that for me. Very big, mate, bright. 11 o'clock at night. So, yeah. I can't even spell right. But there you go, at the moment, neuro monitoring, isn't it? Yeah, death traps. Why? I get shadow banned on the internet. They're monitoring everything I say and do, and you know, whatever. I've got to get freshed up because if you don't know this fact by now, here you are. All attempts to use a copyrighted intellectual property, i.e., the copyright of the birth certificate, which is not, I'm not the owner of. The owner is the Crown Corporation, a City of London, which is a state in itself in Temple Bar in London. Right? A sender, in fact, that imply a name, a title, offers is you or personations, and is aiding and abetting fraud, and whereas acting in good faith. Where's the evidence of their intent to assume that one is the title to create a joined and a deceptive measures, knowingly or unknowingly, renders proof of intent to do so, whereas the rightful owner of any and all legal names, namely the Crown Corporation, i.e., the birth certificate. So basically, it's the corporation own name is attacked in the mission of fraud with false impersonation and concerned as a capital tort. Insomuch the sender has mailed something under the presumption that the living, i.e., man or woman individual, is related to the Crown Corporation and named or registered at birth, is in fact aiding and abetting in another fraud. Should I accept the offer of the item and more so referenced by email? And in all things, items mailed or in fact contracts, and in so much as the acceptance is assumed or presumed due to the UP Vatican City and the state postal code address, mailbox address in bold are attached to the Crown own name. That is not me or my property. It is the intent to commit enticement to slavery on you, the senders, part of the intent to commit fraudulent joinder as such. So the agents of their corporations may or may not know, and be careful about this when you respond to any offers. When you're doing a conditional acceptance of offer, and say you want to change the terms and conditions of the offer contract, We're counterclaiming the offer and setting your terms and conditions. So the earlier email was just simple abbreviation of what I read out. And wording is key to the word's interpretation and meaning definitions of sentence grammar. So be careful when you make, because that needs to be corrected. So what one does in email is attach this attention that the I might not, sometimes you may want to do it, may not. So to the owner of, well, not the owner, but because there's board of directors, the CEO as agents to this housing company for one, the wheelchair company for two at the moment, two things, issues. There's other things, but they falsely believe that the wording using the Miss, Mrs. is not I. So uh, how they're trying to get the joinder and its wording, you need to be careful when they're trying to imply assumptions about your private life and responses, is to they may not know, they may not be trained in Latin, they may not be trained in tort law, what I just quoted earlier. They may not know anything about this. So, so I would, in my opinion, experience is to just yeah, learn what you can and how to respond to the offers, and be careful about the drawing down. This is what the police did. The agents did to me when I was extreme traumatized when I got robbed in the place where I was on the 13th, 1st, 2022. What's your name? What's your address? What's your date of birth? That's a verbal offer contract, okay? And they know that. And some of these younger individuals joining public services companies, they're limited companies, by the way, and some of these individuals may or may not know that are employed as agents. So this is where the times we're living in. Everything seems to be more digitalization, automated systems, and automated computer systems automatically will have a title. That's how business and commerce works. And I'm not saying all computer systems are like that, but I'm just saying be careful when you're responding to any offers. So yeah, so I'm trying to offer these other dates, counterclaiming, and to try and focus on that. So I'm to had to work out all day today. Basically, the dates the 3 dates, maybe another day. I'm looking at counterclaim offer for the gas servicing, and this is my private dwelling, and that individual who lives in this area, he should not be looking at my private belongings in my private dwelling. There's no lawful ground to do so. He's called Simon. And yeah, not great, especially when it concludes, all this wheelchair business issue on top. I can only do one issue at a time, and there seems to be that I just can't deal with it in my house. It's too much. So I'm trying to deal with this after my birthday date, because I've got the official documents to state, as long as I offer these dates, that is within the 2-month period, which nationally states the lawful requirement. So we'll see, eh? So yeah, traumatizing. And it's more printout, isn't it? More printout. So I'll just leave that as that section. And also, by the way, Mention public servants. Okay, if people don't know this, I found this out by another source. In England, the Care Act, Statute Act 2014, Section 92A, false misleading information is in their system is an unlawful act, unlawful emissions. I've got evidence of this by that. Well, quite a few people, details I've got of that, who did this, who were involved. 2017, 2018, stroke 2019, and 2021, when the company changed to new title of a new company. And so, yeah, that's how many years? 3 years I've been doing this. And I've got the details and the job titles. So you might want to research that if you're experienced similar unfortunate situations like I. And if you are able to get a remedy, but when you're a target individual and you contact, by the way, Law Society, Limited Company, International Bar Association, based in London, head office, Limited Company. There's a whole list of printouts, information I put in my affidavit. But again, be careful. Some of these public servants and agents, public or private companies, may not know this information. So don't, in my opinion, be careful what you send in case it's overload. Right, on that note, I'm going to say good evening, good day, wherever you are. And I know they'll play this back. Now I've got to just put this to one side. Remember what one needs to do. It's not brilliant. Not really brilliant at all. But hey, we'll survive somehow. Gotta get freshed up. For those that are going through what you're going through, blessings and prayers to you. Educate yourself with the Lord. It's a very good website to research. If you want to know, just briefly information, because there are links to subjects of straw man and what the definitions of that is, more than perhaps I can quote here. Really is not great. By the way, why is the full moon positioned strangely in the sky at the moment? It is in alignment with Jupiter, but it's a lovely bright, very bright. It's very important times that we're living in. All these things happening in the world. Very trying times as well. Anyway. Bless your heart, Tanya. How's your mum? Oh. Right, screen sharing this website. We'll find it. Where is it? No. If you want to know more, articles about mind control, videos about mind control, membership of this website, international class action lawsuit against neurotorture. You got radio frequency scanning subject. They imply this organisation are scans in a Faraday cage at the same location since 2017. This type of forensic method has been exhausted. New methods of forensic measurements are being put in place. We are already in talks with another locations. The prospects of using Faraday cage may be and may be considered at a later date, if this is considered appropriate by their lawyers and technical advisors. That's international in Belgium, by the way, not England. Once we are set up with the new measurements and locations for the same arrangements would be made, such as aiding in arranging for people to travel together and stay in the same hotels and the like. There will be look at the wording of the upper contracts on their documents, by the way. Drawn up provided for those wanting scans and the NDA, non-disclosure agreement. You need to look at that before you do anything. We will keep members, and you're not a victim, you're a survivor, by the way, updated as they process. And you're not a we. Look at the definitions of the words they use on their website. In the meantime, Amy and someone else, someone's audios is conducting thermal imaging scans, was visiting the UK and Belgium in the year 2022. You want to look in her background before you believe things that come from certain people. She also travels around the world, USA, doing these scans. Yeah, but how much does she charge? The UK and Belgium, yeah, because I know she joined a certain Zoom meeting. So How can you have a parliamentary hearing stage when they're not governments, they're corporations? And how come you have lawyers when they're not lawyers, they're liars? And the termination of words used here. They are part of the International Bar Association, which is a limited company. What statute and regulations is statute law? And how are you going to get a remedy on the systems and on, especially when it's in Belgium, European, when the EU, they're part of the member state. They claim a petition requires 25 signatures and evidence collecting. Be careful, because that could be turned against you. Do what you want, but just be careful. Right? We have to present current findings, evidence, and measurements along with the two other technical advisors. Who are they? They're not mentioning. And this woman called Amy will be doing audio analysis and thermal imaging scans. And what equipment she's using then. Another will be asking members to use measuring devices in their own homes. At what cost? And who's going to pay for that? This will then be presented to, really, for the petition? Really? You think, when it's a military operation? Members in Belgium and France can use the measuring devices in their homes. Amy will be analysing audio, which can be done remotely. How can that be? By members from anywhere around the world, and can pay. Look at that. And can pay this directly to her. How are you going to get a refund if things go wrong? Alright, so here you go. International Human Rights Organization. Where's the evidence? Makes the public inhumane and experiments on new weapons on innocent. You're not a citizen. She's got that word wrong and start with. In many countries, people prosecute torture using highly advanced microwave weapons. Tech systems, direct energy weapons, work with electronic radiation. Yeah, that's true. And penetrate the house walls and solid objects. Secretly implanted telepathic technology makes them easier to access and attack. New weapons can cause a variety of effects on the body and the mind. Affects individuals' experiences, pain, heat, and burns, pulse, and shocks. They keep doing that. So, where is their where's the terms and conditions? Where is the terms and conditions? So she's used this website to set up that page and hosting a page. Web publisher. Thought so much. Unless you can actually find where they're based, a physical location, and if they're a company or it's a private individual, I would be careful. You just got emails. You really, and you got the host, there's no information who they are. Unless they've made their accounts public. Barry Tower, yes, in a paper on 5G and Wi-Fi. The bioelectric magnet weapons PDF. Targeting human direct energy weapons. Don't know if I can open the document. Dated 2003. September the 6th, 2002. Wow. I was attacked on 13th of December 2002 by that man. Was he mind controlled? Direct energy weapons choose manipulation of microwave oven. Let's have a look at this. How many pages is it first? Let's see. Seven pages. Psychological effects. There was a new effective weapon for criminals and terrorists, lawbreakers with misuse modern technology through the legal use of high-tech weapons. People are not shot, rather their living quarters are bathed in high frequencies, electromagnetic waves for a length of time. Direct energy weapons are usually intended for military purposes, US Air Force, Russian and Chinese armies. High-tech company Raytheon states about Jews, "We believe they are a critical element to how ultimately wars will be fought. High-powered microwave is the most mature right now." Wow. Renowned German newspaper Die Welt WELT acknowledged microwave weapons as an arms of the 21st century in a German newspaper. A weapons expert recommended the police to procure microwave weapons for police use. Considering what certain criminals know about weapons, they have a significant advantage over the police until now. This puts the victims in extreme danger. A primitive variation of the weapon, which looked like this, a microwave oven from a kitchen with a protective sheathing removed from the door, replaced by a metal funnel. The effect extreme weakness, headaches, irregular heartbeat, diarrhea, painful chest, damaged nerve systems, internal organs, burnt skin, and eye damage. Later effects include blindness, heart attack, stroke, and cancer. In the last months, by some victims, curious tumours have been diagnosed. In addition to that, victims through and some deformation are seen as psychotic and dangerous, thus they are completely helpless. At the same time, the new weapons for certain contractors are tested under ordinary circumstances and constantly improved. HPM crimes are a new kind of crime with some very new characteristics. International Union radio scientists emphasizes in a revolutionary of 1999 on criminal activities using electromagnetic tools. There's the fact that criminal activities using electromagnetic tools can be undertaken overtly and anonymously, that their physical boundaries, such as fences and walls, can be penetrated really by electromagnetic fields. Bloody heck! All those years ago. Think what they're doing now. 22 years on, practically. I thought I was screen sharing this. Seventh of May 2003. Created. There's a website from I downloaded it. Alright, let's have a look. DARPA. The Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. Russian US mind control technology. Oh my gosh. Dated 2001. 300 odd pages. The US EMR mind control weapons, the Russian evidence. The Russian book translated has begun. Project's begun. What the heck? Security Russia, 1999 at Moscow. Psychotronic War from the Myths to the Facts, 1993. How long all this has been going on for? 1998, German TV, Secret Russian Moscow, The Zombies of Red Tsars, documentary and pictures of psychotronic experiments. Chapter 11, the section quality, convincing argument for the assistance of US EMR mind control weapons. East West Con, the thermal effects of EMR enter the exposure of the US Cold War cover story. Bloody heck. Summary. Throughout this booklet, the words electronic radiation and magnetic frequencies with EMR, the terms electromagnetic radiation effects are used, means the same thing. It goes into section 1. This is the book, basically. Evidence of the best Russian mind control information had been found. It does not meet the scientific level of proof or the legal of proof, but it does meet the level of proof required to ask Congress, human rights groups, and others for investigation into government mind control experiments. This evidence also meets the requirements of journalism level of proof, and is several independent, credible sources corroborating the evidence in a news story. In addition, information on the non-lethal effects of EMR and how this ties into the Russian mind control is included below. The non-lethal EMR effects evidence spans 50 years. All those years ago, and now we're 2022. Wow. New evidence describes how below support the fact that the science behind the mind control weapons has been suppressed. Can you imagine what they've got now? As shown in previous papers, the open literature on neuroscience. All those years ago, I've only just been finding out the past year about neuroscience. Supports and a thermal basis for at least some brain mechanisms. Hopefully, translation and research analysis of the Russian book will help in this area. For over 10 years, a certain individual quoted here has been prominent influential in Russian government. He's advocated for the banning of Russian mind control weapons since they break up the Soviet Union, and has taken this cause up in the UN, and has a law degree with member state of Russia, currently Russian government representative to Japan. This book includes its outline of the problem and threat of subatomic weapons, and more importance of public relations concerning the global threat. He writes of the purpose Russian federal law, international psychological safety, concerning protection, defences of rights, and lawful interest of individuals and society. Evidence in 20 plus Russian articles, mind control, confirm the evidence in the partial translations of 2 books. There are hundreds of articles and books of the subatomic weapons in Russia. It is a popular topic, can be seen in the 186 calculations at the end of the book, not to mention numerous footnotes. The breakup of the Soviet Union assistance to classified Russian mind control program was revealed by several independent, reliable sources. There were concerns that the mind control technology would fall into the hands of the mafia. See, for example, Defense News 1993 below. Therefore, US and Russia were discussing the need for bilateral controls of the technology. Several articles allege Russian government experiments on military personnel and the use of mind control weapons of Afghanistan. See below. Here are some of the sources is trying to obtain the legislation statutes proposed these times by deputy quotes which one, and the documents of hundreds of complaints by individuals, military personnel, Russian government employees, agents. The references to the Russian government documents of mind control weapons in the books and articles written. Gosh. Oh my God. The existence of mind control technology Even states it was a secret for so many years. Moscow Times, 1995. He dismisses the paranoid conspiracy label on the allegations, instead takes mind control weapons seriously. Moscow Times article, 1995. There's a certain doctor that built the equipment and states that similar equipment was used in Afghanistan, as does the Defense Electronics article below. Russian journalist, it quotes which one, has studied the story for 3 years, and a complaint was filed with the CSCE, I don't know what country that is, 1992. A Dr. Posny, I think, academic and public policy analyst who stands behind his statements, he's stated that the EMR effects of the scientist basis for mind control weapons defense foreign affairs far back as 1983. Oh my gosh. 1998 German TV document, The Zombies of the Red Tsars, thanks to, and it quotes down here, translations, 1998, a German TV documentary of that. I can't cover it all. Did I download it? Yeah, I did. No, I don't know what it is. $123 pages. That's what it's called. The book, 1999. Turn it upside down, leave the one out, got 666. Published 2001. I do believe there's advanced technology. Okay. Monitoring your brain reflexes, or responses, I should say. What is hydrogel? Or whatever it's called. Sensitive network of backbone polymer carrier weak acid basic groups. MECHANICAL. Stability of the gel. Where are the... I don't comprehend this. As mentioned, such synthetics may be performed as a cross-linking reaction between the molecules or a cross of linking the polar. What? What is used for both water and solid salt components must be mixed, dried, and finally cross-linked by heating. By variation of the ratio between the... What is this? Have they got advancement in other technologies? Biodegradable, non-biodegradable. What is it used for? Thermosensitive. Hydrogels. Negative thermosensitive include, and it goes into what the type swells when the temperature is decreased. dewell when the temperatures increase. Thermal reversible gels that are widely studied are copolymers of polo, I think. I'm not expert in these big words. Biodegradable. How many pages is this? What's the date of the article? Department. It doesn't say where the article's from, so I'll go out of this one. NASA signals. What? Senator Church provides his powerful warning to American people in 1975. Congress investigating abuses by the National Security NASA of. Yeah, I think that was public knowledge. I think people done documentaries about what a mind control program in the 1970s. I could be wrong, it's the same, similar. Part of the United States and its allies to intercept communications intelligence commit COMINT ECHERON is believed to be a joint initiative led by a national security agency in conjunction with counterparts United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, believed to intercept all forms of global communications, from your telephone conversation to satellite data transmissions. The various allegations surrounding ECHEON can be roughly grouped into two categories. The first set of allegations, coming partly from Europe, concerns in the use of the ECHERON system to conduct economic espionage on behalf of American companies. The second set of allegations involves the illegal use of ECHERON to conduct intelligence about American individuals. This second set of allegations will be focus of this note. In a society such as ours, which considers privacy, freedom from intrusive governments to be fundamental values, the prospects of Americans' government spying on its individuals is extremely troubling. This allegation raises questions about of the legal restrictions placed on the collection and use of signals intelligence. The use of international assets to conduct industrial espionage for the beneficiary American companies over the foreign counterparts is a controversial, but this issue turns primarily onto the matters of policy rather than the law. This note focuses on the legal restrictions of signals intelligence signet activities, and thus will set aside the primary. Let's have a look what this is. By surveying the origins of that program, the various means by which collected, it outlines how the public's become aware of it and what action has been taken in response to the various allegations levelled against NASA. Part 2 of the note provides an overview of the legal regime that has been put in place to protect innocent individuals from unconstitutional use of powerful electrical surveillance technology, process by the United States intelligence community, and what I wouldn't believe is that's more advanced in England as well. And this is all these years ago, and now look where we are. So, testimony on signal intelligence activities, April 2000, which have been published, systems to be whistleblowing, former employees, international leaks, freedom of information, and highly healthy amounts of speculation. It's alleged to be a code word for worldwide signals intelligence collection effort that is believed to be intercepted all forms of global communications, telephone, faxes, emails, data transmissions. People writing about discussing this subject have used the term, I quoted earlier, very broadly. It currently refers to almost every element of communication, intelligent operations carried out by United States close allies. This is evidence to suggest, however, and it quotes again the software, what they're doing, a code word used to refer to the network computers that was used to process and intercept. You can imagine what they're doing with technology now. The coder's word is likely to have been abandoned as the intelligence community generally changes code words when they're compromised. Since impossible for the available information to enlighten, the precise boundaries of this particular software as a term will be used genetically to refer to American communications. I need to know roughly the dates. So yeah, it included they're still doing it. GCHQ in England, right? Canada. CSE, Australia Defence Signals Director, DSD, New Zealand, GCSB. The basis of the cooperation dates back to World War II. This communication intelligence cooperation between the agreement United States and Britain goes back to May the 17th, 1943, after the World War II. In 1946, and 47, the United Kingdom formed the Commonwealth Signet SIGINT organisation, which incorporated Canada, Australia, New Zealand, United States, United Kingdom on behalf of its Commonwealth Signet partners entered into post-war UK, USA. The agreement in 1947, the agreement believed to have established procedures through which the Signet organisations 5 countries cooperate, but its details are still secret at the time of this article anyway. The Australian government was the first to publicly acknowledge UK-USA agreement in March 1999. Director of the Defence Signals Directive DSD stated, DSD does cooperate with counter-signals intelligence organisations overseas. UK-USA relationship agreement. These relationships have been solidified with detailed bilateral agreements between the parties. It is believed that the result of these agreements, that the 5 nations work closely together. Good gosh. Told you everything's gone up to the tell you. Did it ever end? Media as commercial, private communications during the Cold War, the systems focused primarily on the Soviet Union, its allies in the wake of the Cold War. The Communist establishment has necessarily shifted in focus to transitional threats such as narcotics, trafficking, weapons, mass destruction, terrorism, organisation crime. Ever since electronic communication systems first came into general use in the mid-1800s, that's by the telephone, isn't it? Telephonograph. The United States has been using electronic surveillance to collect intelligent information. Interception communications have not always been a high priority of the United States. In fact, in 1929, Secretary of State Henry L. Simpson angrily ordered the disembowelment of the United States' only code-breaking unit. Because he believed that gentlemen do not read each other's mail. Secretary Simpson later recognised that this statement was overly idealistic. I can't pronounce that word. Even the modern one. Human intelligence is subject to all the mental operations of source as well as the interpretation of the source. The signet has technical operations that skip away with automatic with almost immediately if it does not have bona fides, whatever that is. If it is not shit. So quick. I'm looking at dates. Did it ever end? Or is it still going? In a project code named SmanWalk or whatever it is to access all their traffic. In a modern twist, the three major telecom fiber optic telephone trunk lines, each cable carrying 100,000 calls that run through Maywill Hill, an American military installation in North Yorkshire, England. That is believed to be the latest spy station, the largest one in the world. The existence of some form of access agreement between the British Telegram, BT, and the NSA is further supported by allegations that in 1975 British Telegram, as a company, provided a cable connection from Menworth Hill to British Telegram microwave facility 5 miles away. Oh, give me a break. So both of the forms of communications were accessed without the knowledge of the owners, using various variety of techniques, and high-frequency radio systems were the most common means of international telecommunications prior to the 1960s. HM signals travel long distances by bouncing between Earth's surfaces and the Earth's atmosphere. This makes them susceptible to interception by large ground-based air raids. Yeah. Microwave radio relay was introduced in the 1950s. to provide a high capacity intercity communications for telephones and telegraphy, and later television. These systems consist of small, low-power transmissions on hilltops that can relay their signals to station 30 to 50 kilometers away. A small proportion of signals captured by each relay station, which results in the majority of signals passing over the horizon out into space. Beginning in 1968, the microwave spillover was exploited, and the launch of Cannon, the first American commit satellite capable of collecting these signals. Satellite codenamed Mercury and Orbit, collecting microsignals that pass over the horizon into space. In addition to Mercury, there are two other classes of comet collection satellites in use: Orion-class satellites and believed to control from Pine Gap, Australia. They target the VH radio circular mobile phones, paging signals, and mobile data. Trumpet-class signal satellites intercept these same signals of Mercury and Orion are positioned near polar orbits that allow them to remain high northern latitudes for extended periods of time. United States National Resilience NOR and Department of Defense tasked with constructing and maintaining space-based intelligence systems, and announced plans for these separate classes of satellites into what refers to target overheaded structure. Oh God, I can't read anymore. I've got a break on this. But basically, my gut feeling, all this advancement in technology is more advanced than I'm ever going to know about, because a lot of it's going to be top secret in it. Source of information. Shoot. We've been targeted. Not just me, but all of us in all different platforms, in different ways. Okay, the source of this, I'm going to show you the way you can go read the website, the documents. I don't want to read it anymore. It's on here. On the document section. They ramped up the frequencies, haven't they? All these years. Okay, this is the UK version. Okay, so that's it for now. Because I'm being shadow banned, so signing out. For now, there you go. Oh, they blocked me, did they? So they blocked me from screen sharing this to make me bloody look stupid. You demons. You demonic demons. UK-based website, right? But this is the international website where all the links of those documents are on. Which I was just looking through and reading through. Okay, so there you go. Signing out from UK. The truth. You demons, you don't want me getting out, do you? You're hacking into me. They're just hacking into me. I'm sharing some documents, right? On this website. Of all this history, all communications are being monitored. I don't worry. This website. So it is now the 11th of the 9th, 2022. It shows you back in history, 1940s, 1950s and 60s, with the satellite technology, all communications, everything from the world, from the invention of telecommunications and satellites. And this goes into the Russian mind control technology. So the NASA Signals Intelligence PDF as well found a lot of that information. You've got the patterns, brain-computer pattern interface document. They've definitely been hacking into my live stream and nobody comes through my network. They're blocking it all. Right, 2010. Brain interface user. Neuralink patent. Publish of the document 2006. There's one also filed on 6th of March 2022. Brain computer interface, the multiple channel stimulate and decoder. It details the abstract. You can see that. Why do you think I am being subjected to what I'm going through? And remote neuromonitoring document patent. PDFD. I'm not sure there's. I'm looking for patterns. So target individual UK website, but I don't want that. And that is what that is. I'm signing out because they're just hacking everything. Right. This is where they like to monitor. This is where there's a backup channel there, just blocking all traffic. Well, the main internet that I'm paying for. So telecommunications, BT companies being involved with monitoring all data communications going back to after the war as well. It wasn't just for the war period, World War II. It's been going on ever since. And you can see there, I'm getting to everything I'm doing. Yet. Yeah. You can see all this point, yeah. There's always automatically, you know, see when they have to see how they're monitoring everything. Nobody's coming in the chat. So people knows I'm live. And they're monitoring all communications. The demonic, it's a full moon as well, by the way. Yeah. They just got monitoring what you're saying. Educate yourself to look and research if you want. Let me see. It's automatically being played back. Well, isn't it just a case you stumble across information without intending to find some more information? Freemason, please have KUK housing. Do you know? And the dream manipulation, you're just monitoring people. Comet, Planet X. Do you know all this is coming to a head? So all this psyop on the internet, don't believe it, right? With Diana, Kane and Will as well. There's all sorts going on. They don't cover subjects like this, and they're not even targeted, but they lie and portray. TI News, what you're doing, you're not a real TI, you know that. They got back together. What a sight.
So Crazy as Hell, because I feel like that's a more fitting name. I think that's her real name. Crazy as Hell is her real name.
You sell out. Do you want to get yourself on bloody camera, put your face on camera? You're going to sell out. Okay. Take care, blessings anyway. That Macy this.